So by the title of this video, you can already assume what part of the TWID we're going to look at today. And it's none of this stuff down here, although feel free to go look this out. Yeah, look this up. Feel free to go and read this whole TWID. There's tons of information. You can watch these videos if you want to, and if you're wanting to stay spoiler free, there are some of these videos you definitely don't want to check out. And actually, the thumbnails can kind of spoil some things here, so you probably shouldn't even be watching this video. But we're going to go past all of this juicy stuff, at least for now. And I went a little bit too far. And we're going to focus on this today, because I'm a doomer that only wants to focus on the negative things, okay? That was a joke. I'm not a doomer. I just want to bring attention to this, because I find it pretty annoying that a lot of these issues have persisted. This should be changed from known issues list to we know about it, but we're probably not going to do anything about it list. Because a lot of these have been on here for a while. And I'm not blaming the devs, because I know they have a lot on their plate, and particularly there aren't any QA employees at Bungie. A lot of it gets outsourced now, which isn't good. And, that's the whole point. Mainly, I want to focus on the Sunder Doctrine stuff, because a lot of this is pretty important for that dungeon. So you have these two here that kind of bookend everything in between that we'll talk about first. The steps 6 and 9 of the Drowning Labyrinth quest aren't able to be completed by some players. That sucks. Not being able to complete the quest means you can't focus weapons, and that does suck. And then sometimes when you're tracking the steps for this quest, certain steps and once you complete those certain steps may stop all of your progress on the next step. That also isn't great. And then this is a big one that on day one that discouraged a lot of teams on contest, because this encounter has a lot of ads. People didn't know how it worked because it's day one, and people were getting the critical damage feedback, right, that you can see here, but they were actually doing base damage, and people figured this out pretty quickly. Now, the meta has obviously fleshed out certain options like anarchy, and I even use still hunt here, which is predominantly a precision weapon, and it does okay. Most of the time though, you'll see sleeper, you'll see anarchy, and a whole other host of options that work, and it's actually crazy. I mean, Chaos Reach works, Thunder Crash. I've even seen some people do Storm's Edge on this boss. It's crazy how many different options work, and it's cool. But at this point, if they were to fix this, it would do more harm than good, because people going back and looking at guides, maybe they haven't done the dungeon yet, or they decide to buy the dungeon key, and basically everything that they're told in set guides is completely irrelevant at that point, because the encounter has changed. Now, some people might go back and make new videos covering what is best to use now. I'm sure most people have baked that into their videos already, saying if they do fix the bug, use Whisper, use Queenbreaker, Still Hunt, right? All these other options. New Land would be another solid option that's probably going to fit into the rotation if it does, in fact, get fixed. But at this point, it's like, maybe you should just leave it and let people be used to how it works, essentially. Maybe the pyramid is lying to us. You can retcon that if you want. But I do think it would do more harm than good for it to be fixed. Now, if it was fixed earlier and there's proper staff at Bungie to handle that, that's a different story, right? But we are on 3 months of this being an issue. And in case you don't believe me, here's a tweet from March 27th, which isn't terribly long ago, but if we scroll down a little bit here, some nice artwork there. I scroll down too far again. This is something I do. But you can see here that this issue is still here. In fact, so is this one here with the steps 6 and 9 of Drowning Labyrinth not being completable for some people. The same issue with the tracking, the Tome of Want thing, the memento shaders being... This is superfluous. Like, it doesn't matter. But most of these are pretty annoying to deal with, especially considering how long they've been around. They have fixed the Ionic Sentry, right? But if we go back to the other TWID, you can see that the Ascension aspect is still having some difficulty with armor and specifically armor mods and certain exotic armors. It's not working with them, which isn't horrible. Let's be honest, Ascension is still better than it was, being able to reload and get your melee back, having the dodge perks that come with your class ability. But it would be better with these armor mods and having access to cohesion with certain exotic armor pieces, and maybe more people would be playing Hunter. I know I haven't touched my Hunter nearly as much this episode as I have been playing my Titan and Warlock. Sometimes that's just how the metas are, but this isn't going to completely make Hunter the best class in the game. It just might make it a little bit more fun, right? So again, not game breaking, but definitely still annoying. And the reason I want to bring attention to this is we sometimes look at the past to help us paint a picture of the future, and if we don't do that, then history will repeat itself. And I don't think it will come a surprise to anyone if there are a ton of bugs day one, week one of Edge of Fate. And even, this isn't something revolutionary to think or even say out loud. There will be issues with the servers day one of Edge of Fate. You can pretty much bet the house on that. And it sucks to have this expectation of less than good quality as far as bugs and the servers being able to log in day one. And that's why a lot of people that I know who do enjoy the game a ton, they will usually wait until after day one because, I mean, why wouldn't you? If you're trying to log in day one, you're just looking at a loading screen for maybe a couple of hours. And it's so frustrating, let's say if you do finally get in, and then you get error coded an hour into the first mission. So you're better off waiting to play. Like, what's the point of even having a launch day if you can't play on that day? And, a way they could fix that is do a soft launch, maybe with just some creators or some devs who test everything out, and maybe they slowly let people in as sort of like an early access thing, and that way the servers don't explode. But even then, it would probably still happen, and I'm not sure exactly why that does happen. I hope there's a way to fix it in the future, and I hope I'm wrong on this. Trust me, I don't want to be right, and if I am, I will eat my words, and I will revoke my prophetic nature that I think I have with all this stuff. But I do think there will still be a lot of bugs, even if the servers are smooth on day one. We all know that the final shape, right, was on pace to break the concurrent player record, at least on Steam, before the servers became an issue. And if they weren't an issue on that day, there's a very good chance that would have happened. And that would have been cool. But again, a lot of people started getting off because what's the point of just sitting there and, practicing futility? I do want to give credit where it's due as far as fixing game breaking bugs, because some of them do get fixed really quickly. But again, a lot of these are left in the wind for months on end. Vesper's Host is a good example of one that was left for a very long time and got fixed, and that's kind of why I'm weary of seeing the Zoetic log set changed once again, or at least, another dungeon encounter being changed again. What's a possible solution to this issue? Well, we all know that upper management isn't exactly popular with, I would say, a majority of the fan base. Everyone has their own opinions. Some of them are biased, and obviously, as someone who enjoys the game, and I do think the devs do a fantastic job when given time and the proper resources. But it's clear that people higher up the food chain don't value that as much as they should. And I think, obviously, as you can tell by some of my other videos, they should be out. And what you could do is hopefully take the money you would get from firing those people and use it to hire more QA. Now, obviously, Sony would have to step in and take over. I don't know if Sony would just simply outsource QA and, try and save money that way, because it's much easier to pay another company to do the QA than it is to hire a bunch of employees to do it. So, I don't know. It's something that I can only speculate on what might happen and give possible scenarios. But even then, if those higher ups were to be fired, it's possible they'd be given big checks as far as severance goes. And obviously, you wouldn't have as much money in that case to hire staff. But to me, it becomes more and more clear with each release that this is an issue. And, it's not even big releases that are buggy anymore. It's seasonal events, it's episodes or seasons, which we're returning to the seasonal model now. All of it is usually quite buggy, and it's just not fun to see. And again, it really tampers expectations down for day ones and all that. And you don't have confidence that everything is going to function as it should, and that kind of makes you want to play it less, right? Not that the devs aren't giving it their all, but that they're, again, not getting all of the resources they need to finish everything off. Why don't I just go work at Bungie as a QA person? Because I don't have experience in that. I mean, maybe I should, but this is just me giving my honest opinion on it, and I hope this is something that changes in the near future. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna play Edge of Fate either way, and I'll probably make another follow-up video on this, talking about the bugs and not trying to bash so much, but just continuing to give my feedback, and hopefully it reaches the right place. And yeah, anyways, see ya.